Detroit, you need to be made aware. Welcome to Practicing Self-Awareness with hosts Robert Chacon and Jose Villegas.
Good afternoon, Detroit. You're on 1340 AM WCHB, and you're listening to the Practicing Self-Awareness Show with Robert Chacon and the brother Jose Villegas out of the Maryland, D.C. area. And we want to say Happy New Year's to you today, and we're so glad you joined us. We have so much we want to talk about today, and right before we came home, we had a young man observed. He was talking about stocks. I thought about you, man. He was talking about the stock market and making money. And, you know, before we get started, I look out, Zerb, and I see, you know, it's just so many people have so many just opinions about so many things. And that's why our show is just so important, because what we found out is getting to the heart of the thing is we all trying to learn and create peace in our life. And me and you have been blessed to find something that creates the inner peace that we all are searching for. I think any ideal that you cultivate in your mind, ultimately you're trying to use it to bring you peace. And I'm so glad that this message found us, and we're here to share it. So that's just my opening. We got a whole lot today. Well, you want to say something, Zer, before we get started?
No, go on, kick it. Just say hello. Go on, kick it.
All right. Well, let's get started. So what we're going to do today is we got questions. I've been fielding questions all week. People that are interested in this movement. In 2021, we have this movement that's called Practicing Self-Awareness to bring you peace and spiritual elevation. And we want to talk about that today, and we want to talk about that the rest of the year on this show. But we have some people that have some questions. So the first question we have, Zerb, it's a young lady named Susan from Taylor, Michigan. And she writes in and says, how has your life directly benefited from practicing self-awareness? It's a good question.
I like that.
You
want me to go?
Yeah, go ahead, Zer. Take a stab at it.
Yeah, well, I don't let him stab. I'm gonna turn it over.
Okay.
So,
Don't body it.
Yeah, because see, self-awareness has allowed me, first of all, to get off Prozac. You know, I used to be on medication for depression, and because the depression was coming from my experiences, it was you know, the reactions inside of me depressed me, but I was too busy people pleasing, being nice all the time, which fed my depression. Because, you know, if you're nice all the time, you're bound to be sick, because nice people don't finish last, we finish sick. So I've been able to get off of that. Also, I've been able to speak up for myself. I used to hate confrontations. Now I'm speaking up for myself, and here's where I noticed the change at. You know, there was a time, Zerv, that when I had to speak up for myself, I used to get real nervous, and my stomach would start turning, right?
Okay.
And because I practiced self-awareness, and I noticed those feelings, and I would tell myself, I said, well, I want to grow in this area in spite of how I feel. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I would still speak up, and eventually I dissolved those reactions inside my brain, right?
Okay.
So now how I know I changed is that I don't have them feelings like that no more. I still get a little nervous depending on who it is I'm talking to, right? I don't get as nervous with my kids as I do with my wife. You know, it's a different ball game. But There was a time to speak up to my wife. I used to have to practice in the mirror, you know, just to say what I wanted to say. But I went to that extent because I wanted to grow in that area, because I knew the people pleasing was causing pain in my life and depression and all of that. And also, too, it has gotten me, made me eat healthier food. You know, it changes your whole life. It doesn't change just one thing. But here's the key. The evidence is always in the changed life. All you got to do is look at your life. You ain't got to look around, look at. You know what I mean?
Okay.
You know, you see things have changed. And when you start noticing that it changed at the emotional and mental level, where you don't even have those same thoughts and feelings anymore, that's when you know you're really changing. So that's how you know. You go to your experiences.
So let me tackle it a little bit. And
Go ahead.
and before I tackle how answering the question, how have I benefited from self-awareness? Let me unpack a little bit of what you had to say, because you hit some very great points. And I like how you said it has made you more comfortable having conversations that are uncomfortable.
Exactly.
We live in a life, we live in a world, and sometimes, let me tell you, Zer, before I start practicing self-awareness, one of the ways I handle uncomfortable conversations, I would avoid. see,
Right.
see,
Or give them their way. Right.
you don't have to be uncomfortable. You don't have to be uncomfortable if you avoid it. But
Right. Right. But you won't
what
be
I've
free.
learned through practicing self-awareness is that I'm allowed to see that avoidance. Now, why is that so important? What do I mean? See, this is one thing, Zerb, that we're beginning to understand from this movement of practicing self-awareness. A lot of times I don't see the avoidance because it's something that we say all the time and say, whatever the story I tell myself. And see, that's what we don't understand is and this is what we're trying to teach people, but you have to grow this from practicing self-awareness. You have to grow this seeing in you. Your mind is not going to say, oh, you're avoiding them, you're scared, you don't want to be. Your mind is not going to come say it like that. What your mind is going to say is, oh, it's better just to go ahead and play
Right.
along. And
Right.
you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So now
Right.
you're not going to see that. What you're practicing self-awareness for is so you can see yourself telling yourself a story, and then you can readily admit, no, I'm avoiding right now, but I understand.
Exactly.
I understand me avoiding this topic, me avoiding this situation, me avoiding this confrontation. I understand that it's not helping me. And so by you identifying it, by you being aware of it, now you're inviting God in to do for you what you can't do for yourself. You're saying, I can't be more than this, but I'm not going to deny that this is what's happening. And this is an invitation. We've been saying a thing lately, and I think we got that because we're giving more of this away. You're creating a space to allow something greater than your normal thoughts, your normal way of handling things to come in, because you're not denying anymore that this is, we don't want to say something degrading, but you're not denying anymore that this is like a setback, a minor setback, a way you handle things. But I just was unpacking yours a little bit, Zerb. That was a real great point. But let me talk about mine. So the young lady wanted to know, the young lady from Taylor wanted to know, how do we benefit? How have I benefited? And one way that I've benefited from practicing self-awareness is I've grown. I've grown to a level of comfort and peace I've never ever had in my life. Because it's allowed me to see some things about myself that I wasn't able to see before I start. And I know for some people, and see, because this is a new movement and this is all new, I know it may be hard for some people to grasp the concept, because we're like, well, I'm with me all day. How can I not see myself? But it literally was. You got that, didn't you? It literally was things in my experience in my day that I actually wasn't seeing. But because I practice awareness, I've been allowed to see them, and I've been able to make minor adjustments, and it's made a world of difference on the outcome of my day. So, and watch this. Let me just say this right quick, there. That mild adjustments and making a whole world of difference in my day is giving me a whole world of things that I'm attracting. Now I don't attract, it reminds me of the person that says, Why do I keep attracting all these bad people and bad situations? Hello, it's some stuff you're not seeing in your life. Now that I've been able to see things, some things I couldn't see that I was practicing and making minor adjustments, now I'm living at a whole new attraction level. I'm not sitting around like, why am I inviting this in my life? Why? I'm sitting around like, wow, that's nice that happened. Whoa, I expected that gift, because now I'm vibrating different. I'm vibrating with another level of confidence. I'm generating another level of feeling, which is generating another level of attraction.
Exactly. And Zerg, can I say something?
Go ahead, brother.
It's important that we understand, too, that you're not going to do this overnight. I mean, you spent thousands and thousands of hours being trapped by your mind and emotions, and all of a sudden you think they're just going to let you free and walk into this new life and you're going to be all right. No, you got to work for it. And work how? You got to go in your experiences and begin to slow you. The first thing you practice is stop reacting the same way all the time to what you feel and think. And our thing was, what experiences? All of them? No, just start with your negative experiences, because negative energy has so much energy in it that you normally lose control of yourself. And it's not until the experience is over that you find that you either have to apologize or feel bad about something you said. So when you feel a negative experience, just hesitate for a minute and let that experience bring itself down, right?
Yeah,
and also,
hesitate and pay attention to yourself.
And also, too, another thing is very important is you got to get a change partner. Why is this important? Because you can notice something about yourself, but when you tell somebody what you notice about yourself, it begin to make you be more aware of it. Give you an example. Not too long ago, I told Zerb, man, I noticed I complain too much, right?
Oh, yeah, I remember that. That was big.
You remember I told you that?
Most people can't say that about themselves.
Oh, no, because they tell themselves they tell themselves a story.
Yeah, this person is making me mad. That's why I'm supposed to be like this. This anger.
Right, tell yourself a story, right. So I decided, because I noticed it, though, Zerb. You hear what I'm saying? See, when we talk about seeing, we really talking about notice. You begin to notice things inside of you, right?
Right.
So I noticed that I complain a lot, right?
Yeah.
And I decided to tell you so that I can be aware of it, because it's something about when you tell somebody else something you discover about yourself, it makes you more aware of it. That's why Narcotics Anonymous work, Alcoholics Anonymous work, because we go in there and we sit down and we talk about ourselves to somebody else, right? So I told Zerv about it. I said, man, I complain too much. Man, you ought to see me today. Sometimes I can feel it coming up and I catch it. I said, no, I ain't going to. Because with this pandemic, it's easy to complain because you're at home all day, and most people going to notice other people's behavior, not their own, right?
Right.
See, I ain't going to notice. Maybe I'm the one that needs to be changed, not my wife or my kids. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the negative person in the house with this complaining. You see getting that?
Yeah, see, it would take a lot of self-awareness to get to that point where you ask yourself, maybe I'm the problem. Because that's one thing that I see a lot, just in the media, on social media, regular media, is we a bunch of finger pointing. This is the problem. That's the problem. You the problem. And the whole time, like you just said, maybe I'm the problem, and which is actually good, because if I'm the problem, that means that I'm also the solution. If you're the problem, I can't change it to wait, what?
I'm both of them. Go ahead now. I'm in a solution.
They twin towers. But let me say something before we go on to the next question, because you brought up some important points. One thing you said is we have to have something to practice. And that's why if you practice, what is practicing self-awareness? I pay attention to what I feel. I pay attention to what thoughts are being generated as a result of what I'm feeling. Then I pay attention to the actions. That's all that's required. And like you said, it will happen when you're negative. But why is that so important that I'm saying that? Because when we begin to find out about practicing self-awareness, I would go around and I would intently listen to every speaker. And I don't care if it was a motivational speaker, a psychiatrist, at a 12-step, somebody giving a message. I would always hear them say something, but I would never hear them say what you could practice to get yourself to that point. And what I'm finding out is everything in society, we use a process that we go practice. Even something as mundane as, say, if you wanted to shoot free throws. I talk about this in my book. You go to somebody that shoot free throws good, and they would say, you'd arc your hand like this, you bounce the ball 3 times, you shoot it. For the most mundane practices in our life, we go and get a process that we go practice. But the most sacred part of our life, our spiritual life, our inner life, our well-being, do we have something to go practice? And I'm saying this, even if you don't pick up self-awareness, do you have something that you go practice to bring you to peace, to make you better? And I start noticing, I never heard somebody give a practice. They tell you what you're supposed to be doing, why you're supposed to be doing it, but I never heard the how. And that blew my mind because for 1 year, I think I went on a tangent for about 1 or 2 years saying, okay, I'm going to go here. I'm going to listen intently and see if somebody gives you a practice. Why wouldn't you need a practice for the most important area of your life, your spirit, your soul?
Zerb, you know why, Zerb? Because in the spiritual world, not only they don't give you nothing to practice, the spiritual world don't even have a foundation or a sequence of learning. You know, like you have in the physical world. You know, you go first kindergarten, first grade, second grade. You don't go from first grade to sixth grade and then on to college, right? It's a sequence because they want to lay a foundation of education so that you don't miss anything.
Man.
Right?
Did you just say a sequence, brother?
Yeah.
Woo, you rough, Doc. Don't hurt him like that.
Look, there's no sequence in the spiritual world. Matter of fact, my spiritual life started whatever verse the pastor was on when they first started taking me to church. They had no sequence of learning. Like, if you're going to start with the things in the inner world, you got to start with the mind, emotion, soul, God. Those are things that's in the inner world, right?
Right.
Those things are spiritual. But they don't stop. Even words, they got to change. I got to realize that I'm a soul that's in a body. I'm not the body. You know what I mean? It's sequence, foundational information. We're not even taught. So how can I teach you a process when everybody just hitting and missing? You remember what let me say this right quick. What happened? I went through 3 religions looking for a process. I ain't found one yet. I went through Christianity, Islam, and Buddhism. And at the end of the day, they had no way to teach me how to live in the moment.
Yeah, just real quick, I want to say one more thing on that. I saw a movie over the weekend, and it was called Soul, and it touches on some of this what we're talking about, meaning the part about that we're a soul, and we have to find a way to edify. We have to find a way to feed that soul. So it grows and give us the soul the soul that resides in our body. We have to find a way to edify it, to feed it. So it's a greater version through us on earth. So let's go to the next question, Zerb. You brought up some very good points, man. The next question, this is coming from Keith from Wyandotte. He asks, are you guys affiliated with any organization? I'm sorry, Keith. I love you, man. But let me tell you why that was so funny, because people always want you to be affiliated. Like, this got to be some organization. This has to be some religion. This has to be some group. No, this is just a movement that God touched 2 men and gave them ability to find out how to learn more about their soul, their spirit, and bring greater peace to them on the earth. That's all it's about. We don't have no organization, no company. You don't have to have no dues. You don't have to have no fees. I see it's too hard for people to believe something could be that simple to help them get better. We've been trained to believe it's got to be associated with some kind of club or some group or some I'm sorry, man. Go ahead.
No, because that's how we learn. We don't learn from our experiences.
You
We learn from groups.
you learn that
And
you learn to be in a group before you learn the sequence.
yeah, but you may never learn the sequence because
Because you a group member, so forget the
well,
sequence.
if you look out in America, what you think is tearing America up today? Groups. All you see is groups fighting each other. You don't see people fighting each other. You see ideas fighting each other.
Yeah.
And see, and what God did for me before I met you, God allowed me to go into all these groups and organizations and religions to find out they still couldn't get me where I was trying to go. You know, I've been a member of a lot of groups and organizations: AA, NA, religion, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism. I used to meditate for hours. I did all of that. But still, I could not stop overeating. I could not stop people pleasing. I still was suffering from depression. I still was addicted to sex. I still was struggling in my life. And so what happened is, remember I used to always tell you that. I said, I'm so glad God used me in a way where he allowed me to see everything people say is an answer, but actually it's not. It's information. That's the difference. So you can get more information, but here's the thing. Our answer has to show up in the experience where it's needed. Let me say this one thing right quick, so people know what I'm saying. You know, I was driving one day and God was talking to me because God talked directly to all of us. We call it something said, but because we call it something said, we don't think it's God, and we miss a lot of information in our own experience because we don't pay attention to that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so God said to me one day, I was driving. God said, Don't you think I know everything? I said, yeah. It said, don't you think I knew the Red Sea was going to need to be split before Moses got there? I said, yeah. He said to me, well, why I didn't split it before he got there if I knew it was going to need to be done? And I'm sitting there, and then it said to me, the reason I didn't split the Red Sea is because I don't release an answer until Moses was in the experience where it was needed. Did you get that?
Wow. That
was major, man. You got to get that.
So
here's the key. Go ahead.
Yeah. So and I like what you said, and this, you basically answered the question about, are we an organization or affiliated?
Mm-hmm.
And you're saying that you don't need to be in a group because God will speak to you directly if you know how to access him in the moment when you're in the experience.
Come on, you're cooking now. You cooking.
So now, so you answered Keith's question, but let me say this, Zer. I don't know. I got that question a few times. You think we need to start an organization so people can get past the part of need the organization to get better?
Well, no. Let me say this. And there was a time all that was needed in my life, though. So don't think I'm talking down on groups or anything, but there's gonna come a time when the group can't take you but so far based on what the group is and the information it uses. Because every group has a book just about, or some information they use to guide the group, right?
Yeah.
Eventually, your life is going to expand past the information.
Because really, the purpose of the group is God is preparing you. Because he's calling on you for this one-on-one with him. Right. That anything you do, you're being called for this one-on-one for him. That may be the direction or what's preparing you, but you're being called for this one-on-one. It's going to come down to that. And we found out practicing self-awareness helps us get to that point where we have this dialogue with God and this higher being. But let's get to this last question.
Go ahead.
And I don't think we're going to have time for another one.
Go on, kick it. Yeah, kick it.
So we have Brad from Corona, and I'm not sure where Corona at. I think it's California, but on my social media feed, I promote the show, and I let them know if they're not in the Michigan area, they can listen live online. So maybe this guy from California was listening in, wanted to hear about practicing self-awareness. But Brad says, will my problems magically disappear when I practice self-awareness?
No, they'll magically appear.
But no, look, they'll magically appear. But watch this. If you have something in the moment that you could practice that will help you have a greater understanding of why it's happening to you will make a world of difference. See, it's a difference from working through a problem and suffering through one. See, working through one, I'm working towards a solution. I'm working towards my better. Suffering through one is, let me find something to comfort me. Some food or behavior, alcohol or something, because I don't want to be going through this. See, it's a world of difference.
Sir,
I'll let you speak on it a little bit, though. Go ahead.
I ain't got but a minute. I ain't gonna say but a minute or two. It's important to understand that your problems can't change until the reaction change. See, if I'm making the same decision to react the same way, then I keep my life the same because I'm restoring that experience back in memory the same way, so it keeps coming up the same way, right?
Right.
So when I started smoking crack, I really thought crack was my problem, and my life would get better. Man, my life got worse first for almost 6-7 years. Why? Because I stopped smoking crack, but I didn't stop using. Meaning, I was using sex, food, shopping, people please. I was using a whole lot of other things to not deal with my life, right?
Right.
And it wasn't until I started talking about the things I'm using and stopped using all them things that I was able to start reacting different to things. For instance, say if you're a person who always you want to work on changing. Let me use me. I want to work on people pleasing. So how life's gonna change that? It ain't gonna just take it away. God ain't gonna just take it away. It changes by putting me in the experience so I can make a different decision, which eventually dissolves it. You know, if I keep using that word dissolve it, you got to dissolve the chemicals of it. Because emotions are chemical. That's why they kill your body. That's why stress kills you. The emotions are not energy. They're chemicals that we feel, right? That's how they can treat me for depression, because depression is just like there are chemicals for my body that make me feel good. There are also chemicals that make me feel bad, right? Yeah. So when I understood that, see, if I'm in pain, you know the word pain means, you wrote that in the book, pay attention inside now, right?
Yeah.
That's what pain means. But pain is a gift that nobody wants, Zerb.
Okay, Zerb. Yeah, you right. You know what? I'm gonna just put a pin in it right there because I know if I get started, I ain't gonna be able to jump off that one. So let's give our information, give out the email. We love your questions. Maybe we'll do another week of questions. This was pretty cool. Maybe, you know what, Zerb, we might even open up the phone lines one week. You know, we open up the phone lines and see if people are interested in this topic. We'll let them hit us with some stuff and see how we react. Let's see. Let's be self-aware and see.
That's me. I'm off the top of the head. I love that stuff.
Okay, all right, cool. Because the questions was, and we thank you for your questions. Those were some good questions. Because if you're gonna practice something, you do. But just real quick, give the emails, Herb.
Self-aware 2021 at yahoo.com. Again, self-aware 2021. This is a new year. At yahoo.com.
Send us your questions, your comments, and information to get the book. My information is www.rshakan.com. Shakan is SHAKHAN. Contact me about getting the book, Practicing Self-Awareness. www.rshakan.com. That's Shakan is SHAKHAN. You can hit me on Instagram at Robinsky5. ROBINSKI5. ROBINSKI5. Robinsky5. Hit me on Instagram, DM me, give me your questions. Let me get my book out to you. And Happy New Year once again. And we're glad to hear from you, Zerb. You sound good, man. Thanks for joining me today. And
man, had to. God bless, brother.
All right. Love you, Detroit.
Later.
The Practicing Self-Awareness Show with host Robert Shakan and Jose Villegas. Contact Rob at 313-283-5651 or email at selfaware2021 at Yahoo.